Can someone who was recently laid off or laid off in general just tell me what the warning signs are? Because today my boss was fired. They took away, it's like a fully remote job. They took away our access to social spaces. Okay, weird. And then fired people who were like misusing the social space policy by like commenting in social spaces, not during the half-hour lunch that we get. Took away our right to YouTube, like literally just logged in today and like YouTube wasn't working. And then when they realized we need YouTube to do our job, because sometimes like we have to like analyze videos, they gave it back to us. They took away our department meetings. We're not allowed to have meetings as a department now with a department head. Like, I don't understand where that one came from, but okay, because that's like work. They just basically want us to like work, have no distractions. Like, I feel like the writing's on the wall. They've already laid off a decent amount of people, but like they were known for doing that. Like, we were an overinflated project. But my boss getting fired today, I'm like, okay, like it kind of feels real now. I don't know what to do other than apply for a ton of jobs, but I'm just like convinced. Is that how it works? Like, do they fire top down or do they fire bottom up? What's standard?
I work for a tech company that has been around for 20 years and has never done layoffs. It's always been a part of their kind of culture and mission, something they've been able to say. And this morning they announced their first round of layoffs. And I have not been affected yet. As of right now, I'm not getting laid off in this round, but that doesn't mean that I'm not soon. And it just goes to show how job security really just does not exist anymore. Working for a company that has never done layoffs for 20 years does not mean that they're not going to just lay you off tomorrow. Unless you work for yourself, you are so replaceable at a drop of a dime. There's people that have been laid off that have worked for this company for 8-10 years. Some of them, these people have been around since I've been in middle school that are getting laid off. And I feel guilty because I still have a job and they don't, but also like it's not my fault, but I just don't know how to.
Tech layoffs are due to influencers doing day in the life videos at a tech job, because there was a.
You guys did this. Y'all did this. Y'all did this to yourself. You ever heard the saying, if it's good, if it's pure, if it's of worth, keep it to yourself, hide it? Honestly, not everything needed to be shared. Not everything needed to be on TikTok and social media. You guys messed up big time. And I know we call people gatekeepers who don't want to tell us things, but everything good should not be for everyone. As you're trying to save people and trying to help people, you forget that there's vultures out here. There's people that just want to take advantage of every opportunity and ruin an industry. This is why there are certain people groups that gatekeep. And they don't gatekeep because they're trying to keep people from winning. It's because they're keeping what is good, what is pure, what is working away from those who are abusers. The tech layoffs, as soon as I saw the trend, I knew it's going to get ugly out here. Because we forget that there's power groups that don't want y'all to win. If there is a movement, it shouldn't be televised. It never will be televised. So the goal is to only give qualified people good information.
Tech layoffs are everywhere. Like everywhere. You'd think the office espresso machine committed a crime, because companies are downsizing like caffeine itself is to blame. Amazon, Meta, Google, Spotify, name a big tech company, and chances are they've laid off thousands of employees this year alone. And here's the real kicker. These aren't just people who weren't performing. These are Ivy League grads, ex-startup darlings, and product managers whose entire job was to optimize user engagement by changing the font on the homepage for 6 figures. Let's be honest. Tech became bloated. Like someone kept feeding it venture capital cupcakes and now it can't see its own feet. Companies were hiring like Oprah during a giveaway. You get a job, and you get a job. But now that investor money isn't flowing like a busted fire hydrant, CFOs are looking around the room like, wait, what do all these people actually do? And that's how you get layoffs in waves. Entire innovation teams that were brainstorming how to turn AI-generated cat memes into NFTs, gone. Diversity consultants, wellness strategists, internal brand optimizers, poof. Turns out, when money gets tight, no one really needs a chief vibe officer. Tech used to be about solving problems. Now it's been a long exercise in solving problems that didn't exist. Why build a better bridge when you can launch a fourth messaging app inside your email, inside your productivity platform, inside your smart fridge? But here's the worst part. No one tells you you're next.
I
They
don't
just
really
revoke your
need
Slack
full
access
capacity,
mid-latte.
because if I have
You walk
Curry
into
and
your
LeBron
office
on the
pinging
same
error
team,
messages like a
well,
haunted
LeBron's
house
useless 'cause
and
Curry can
realize,
carry on
yep,
his own.
you've
And
been
just
restructured.
about this, I can operate
HR will
off
be in
of
touch.
this,
Never.
But
Let's talk about what's going on in the tech industry currently. So you've probably seen there's been massive amounts of layoffs, and I've seen a lot of videos theorizing that this is AI, programmers are being replaced by AI, and it's simply not true. Essentially what is happening is this goes back to the coronavirus pandemic. During COVID, the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates to 0. Now, we don't need to get into the economics of what that actually means, but simply put, it just results in there being a lot more money in the economy. So suddenly all these companies have a lot more money. So what do they do with that money? Well, they go out, they hire way more employees than they actually need, and they try and grow the company really, really fast while this money is still free. And pretty much the plan from the start was when the money dries up, they're just going to lay off these employees. They're only going to be keeping them for a couple of years. And that's kind of what happened. As soon as the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, these companies just started laying off like the tens of thousands of new employees that they hired. And that kind of kicked off this layoff cycle. Now, that wasn't all that happened. Typically, when you do layoffs, it spooks investors, because it's usually a sign that your company is struggling financially. You can't afford to pay your employees anymore. So that would typically result in the stock price cratering. But this wasn't the case. When the layoffs came around in 2023, a lot of companies actually saw their stock prices going up rather than down. And this was because investors kind of understood what was going on. They knew that these companies had just got an influx of free money, and that they'd hired way too many employees so they could grow their business really, really fast. And they knew that they were going to lay them off eventually. So a lot of the investors were actually like rejoicing, because they're like, finally, these companies got rid of all of these very expensive employees, which means more money for me. So they basically rewarded the companies for doing layoffs, which of course snowballed into what we're seeing now, which is these companies are like, well, this is great. We can lay off absolutely anyone we want, and we'll get rewarded for it by our investors. So now you have companies just doing the most unhinged things imaginable. I think Meta laid off something like 13% of their company, and then they turned right around, took that money, and then used it to buy their own stock and increase their stock price. So now you just kind of have companies just doing layoffs for whatever reason. It's not just the COVID overhires, it's anyone they want to lay off, they're going now because they can get away with it. And then on top of that, the third and final reason is AI, but not in the way you think. It's not because AI is replacing programmers, it's because AI is like this new shiny toy. These companies, they want to go and build large language models. So that's resulting in them basically ransacking other already profitable divisions in order to find more money to go and chase AI hype. So now you have these like very senior, very experienced software engineers who are getting laid off because they don't work in AI. So like all of that put together, you just have like some of the worst layoffs I've ever seen in tech, all because not the tech industry is failing or something's gone horribly wrong, but because these companies really do not care about their employees, and they've just been continuously kind of emboldened to just entreat their employees as if they were like disposable.
Let's talk about the delusion. For a minute, tech workers thought they were untouchable. You had kombucha on tap, nap pods, yoga Wednesdays, and a company culture that felt more like a startup-themed summer camp than an actual job. You were living the dream. But what happens when the dream runs out of budget? Well, first, they cancel the offsite retreat. Then, your manager starts sending those weird, let's touch base about priorities emails. Then one morning, LinkedIn is your new job again. Because here's the truth, tech isn't crashing, it's correcting. For years, companies were hiring based on vibes and vibes alone. Nobody asked why 3 people were doing the same job titled UX Flow Optimization Lead. They just added another one. Now they're waking up from the hiring hangover. Turns out you don't need 50 engineers to fix a bug that one guy in Bangalore already solved 3 months ago for $22 and a Red Bull. And don't even get me started on all those teams built around the next big thing. Remember when the metaverse was going to replace reality? Yeah, you're back in real reality now. Rent's due, and your headset is collecting dust next to your TikTok tripod. And the worst part? The layoffs aren't just painful, they're boring. Copy paste emails. We're grateful for your contributions. This decision does not reflect your value. Blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, you're looking at your stock options like they were monopoly money all along. So, what's the takeaway? Don't get too cozy in the tech lounge chair. Just because your office has beanbags and biometric espresso doesn't mean it's not secretly a trapdoor, because in tech, the cloud is real, and it just rained on your badge access.